with the modern style corridor flaps.
Cut this off there. We don't need this. We've got as far as we need.
Somebody wants all the flags. Okay.
I think we've got full up here now. Yeah, because we know we're going to return it.
Stop!
Ah. Right. Yeah.
And we're in. Power of editing.
Keep going. Some good news. Ooh.
So 2 metres beyond the grey cabinet, please.
Yeah. 2 metres beyond the grey cabinet.
Got it. Keep going.
Right.
There we go. Feel it. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, just one more. Yeah,
Hey.
all right. Yep.
Right. Let's pull that one through and then.
I'm fine.
No. One more time to go.
Lovely.
Welcome to another Carriage Works update. Since we last saw you all, we've been very busy with the winter work. So I'm stood next to Carriage 2050. This is the Welsh Highland Society funded new build carriage that we're working on at the moment. You can see it's well advanced. There's the exterior mouldings to go on. Now, these will be made from Chocoya, which is it's like an MDF fibre board that we have been using for a few years now. It's really stable, doesn't react to water or anything like that, and it's made from shredded up Chocoya, which is a chemically treated softwood that resists all moisture attack. Very good timber for that respect. So that's still to be done. Internally we've got the floor to go down. The flooring contractor will be in the next few days to do that. We've almost finished sanding and varnishing the end vestibules here. The seats are ready as well. We'll have a look at those in a minute, and the tables are all ready as well. So it's very well advanced. It's got to go to the paint shop and be painted, but there's demands on the paint shop at the moment for obvious reasons with the winter work going on. They were intending to have this carriage ready for service sometime in May, possibly early June, but hopefully May. It depends, as I said, with the workshop demands on the other areas. So I just mentioned the seats for 2050. These are the seats. They've all been made up. So they're made out of utility, like all our seats generally are. and then we've got this plywood here which creates the triangulation, the strength in it. Saves having to put any diagonals or braces in. That creates quite a lot of strength there. There's still some corner brackets to go in down here around the legs, which we add to all the seats, but they'll go in later on once the seats have been varnished. They're just ready for that now, and they will start being varnished in this area before they'll have the final coats applied down towards the paint shop areas. So that's what we are with the seats. So I'm sat in the Ashbury, the North Wales narrow gauge Ashbury replica. You can see this is the guards van. So the volunteers have been busy building all the parts to house the equipment. So we've got the first aid box, the biohazard kit. There's a rack here for holding crowbars. There's a disabled ramp, and there's many other sorts and things in here. So this is well advanced now. What it hasn't got at the moment is the handbrake. So hopefully in the next month or so it will have the bogies fitted and the handbrake and brake rigging all attached. So the carriage is very, very close to being ready to go to the paint shop. So the team have been working on the first class compartment as well, just doing the final fittings. And look, John just pans round. You've got all the racks there. That's all the hit and miss vents for above the doors. So they've just been having the varnish built up, and the volunteers have been doing that. So they'll be in at the next working party. And then it's the outside. The outside just needs a bit more paint built up, and then it will be moving to the paint shop to have the final coats applied and all the ornate lining. And the intention is that the carriage will be available for service by mid-June, and it will form part of the new Aberglaslyn service that we're selling this year with the Victorian carriages, the vintage carriages. Hopefully come and have a ride on it, see it in all its glory, see what our volunteers have been achieving. This is Carriage 2043, so this is a Boston Lodge built one from, I think it was about 2007. We did 3 of them at the same time, this one and 2 others. And it's now got to the point where it was getting quite tired. The walls were getting black, the window mouldings were definitely black where they got water damage on them. And the seats were very bleached, the woodwork on the side where the sun comes through, got the UV had got to the woodwork and made it all yellow, sickly yellow colour. So we've had this one in to do a major refurbishment on the interior, and when I say major is take all the seats and tables out, give the walls a good clean and a sand down, and then refresh all the varnish, and where necessary take all the varnish off to the bare wood. If we remove all the varnish to the bare wood, we can bring the natural colour of the timber back. So you can see the seats have been brought back to their correct colour, nice strong red mahogany colours. And the mouldings are the same. We've had them through the machines and cleaned them up, taken them right back to bare wood, and then they've been brought back to the nice golden colour of the cedar here. So that's all going to go back in at our next working party, which is the 7th and 8th of March, if I'm thinking correctly. So if you'd like to come and help and learn how the carriages go together, please feel free to get in touch at the volunteer email address. The intention then is that the final little finishing work after that weekend, and the carriage will go out into use. We're not doing anything to the outside of this one. It was only in a couple of years ago, so the exterior is actually in very good condition, but the interior is where our passengers spend a lot of their time. So it'd be good to bring the standard of some of the interiors up to the standard of the more modern ones like 2050 over there. So these are the seats from 2043, and you can see that the colour here is much more, it's a nice kind of reddish mahogany colour, whereas this top section here, down to where the waist rail had been, was very much like the panels here. It was a very bleached yellow. Now those panels are meant to be that colour because that's cedar, but this is mahogany based timber, this is utility, and it should be this nice red colour. So we've sanded all the varnish off on these areas completely to bring the colour back, which of course then means we've got to build a load of varnish back into it. So they've just got to the stage of a couple of coats, and they're just in the process of rubbing them down to put the final 2 or 3 coats on. These will be ready by the end of this week, I should imagine, to be ready to go back into the carriage during the working party. This is Carriage Super Saloon Carriage 103. Wasn't part of our winter plan this year, unfortunately, but it's had a bit of a mishap with the buffers in port. Unfortunately, one of the rails from the buffer supports has gone through the end here. So you can see it's taken away the whole of the lower frame here. and it's now gouged out the side there. So, and there's also some floor damage, so you can just see there's some wrinkling here, which is an indication that the layers of the plywood flooring have delaminated. So what we've got to do now is to remove this whole area. This whole floor is going to come out now, and we'll put the recycled plastic in now, so that we know that that will be good for the future going forwards. But we've got to remove a big chunk of this section to rebuild the frame. And with the modern style corridor flaps, there's a lot of movement and a lot of pulling on this area. So if this post isn't well supported around this area, we'll end up with the end being pulled out. So we've got to build this in several sections to get round the tenon and allow the strength. So it's got to come back quite a long way to have the strength to hold it to the frame where it needs to be. But that's obviously resulted in all the panel works had to come off, amongst other things. To just fix that. And on the other side we've got a crushed down pipe where the other leg of the buffer stop kind of went that way, and it's also bent this and split the block here, so we've got to get that straightened and change the block on the end there. While we've got the carriage in, we might well give it a clean down with the auto glint stuff we're using, and give it a varnish while we're here as well. Again, so if you want to get involved with that kind of stuff, please do get in touch. The sooner the better we can get this carriage out, get it back into use, and then we can get another one in to take its place. Part of the winter work plan was to have service carriage 2010 in. This is needing to well, we knew there was some rot in the bottom end vestibule area, so we were going to put our recycled plastic in that, but we also wanted to get rid of the louvres from the old generator door, much like we've done on carriage 125. So that we could aid with the cleaning of the exterior, because louvres just hold all the dirt, and they're not necessary now that the generators aren't in there and we've got the battery inverters instead. But when we got the vehicle in, we found that almost every single window unit was leaking water in. The sealant just basically let go completely. So all the sliding units, all the fixed units, the water was literally pouring in. These interiors are done with a melamine faced MDF, which of course MDF doesn't like water. It's all right in the damp in terms of the moisture in the air, but when you've got water actually pouring in, then it doesn't really take well to it. So we've had to do some remedial work in this end, in the guard's end. So this is a new piece of plywood we put in and painted. If we'd had more time, we'd probably have taken all the interior out of in here and done the same for the rest of it. Put a painted interior in, which is an easy maintenance surface where people can come and just repaint it, tart it up when necessary. We've had to have all new sliding windows because they're the old ones had the aluminium coating had failed in a lot of places, particularly where the water had been constantly running through it. So they've all been replaced with new, and we've also put a complete new set of double glazed units in, because there were a number of them that had blown, partially again probably because the sealant had failed, so the vibrations were too much on them, so it had blown them, and we didn't want to risk any more blowing, so we just changed the whole lot. We come through to this end. This end's had even more work. So as you can see, this end has had all of the walls have been removed, all the kitchen cupboards have been out, and we've literally stripped everything out. We've installed new catering surfaces, and we've put in new stainless steel cupboards, so hopefully they will be a lot less maintenance issues with those than we've had with the MDF cupboards with standard style doors. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. The carriage, I mean, it looks tidy, it looks professional. It should be good for another 20 years now, so hopefully, yeah, it's good. Right, so I'm now inside one of the carriages we have finished. This is observation carriage 2152 Gwaith. So we've had all the interior of this one out, obviously not the walls, but all the brass fittings, the tables, the seats, they've all been out because we needed to lift the carpet and put sound deadening material under the carpets. So obviously that meant new carpet. Tables have all been cleaned back, they've had fresh varnish on them, and obviously we've changed the armrests here to leather ones so they're more durable. The curtains have all been deep washed, and we've done the same amount of work to FR Carriage 152. Get the right numbers. That one's just having new. That one's also having new upholstery, whereas this one, the upholstery's not worn that badly, so it's actually in good condition. So that'll be another few years before we have to worry about this one. But 152 was done in Alcantara, which is supposedly a hard-wearing car, automotive type fabric. Hasn't been very successful for us, unfortunately. So that one's had to be recovered this year. So we're just waiting on that to arrive back, and then we can refit the seats in that carriage as well. That one's also had the tables repaired. So the problem with these types of tables is there's a lot of movement here because you've got a lot of timber here. So obviously it's trying to move a lot that way and not very much that way. So around the front here you often get cracking if you're not careful. Earlier tables we built the edges up so that you didn't see the end grain. And the problem is that the glues have failed. So we've ended up with a lot of movement around the end on that particular carriage. So what we've done now is we've pretty much redone the end of the inlay. We've used an epoxy glue to glue the blocks back in place for this season and to do a good job for it to see it through this year, with the intention that we'll make some new tables to this profile and this style to go into 152 next winter. We'll get them done during the summer, so then they'll be ready for when we get to the winter work, and we can actually have the carriage for a few days to fit the tables into it. We've been through and checked all the lights are working. There was an issue with one of these upper lights, so where the solder joint had gone dry, so that's just been sorted. And we've given the carriage a major clean, so there was quite a lot of dirt in places, where people wouldn't think, just at the top of these light fittings. So it's all had a massive clean down, so hopefully it'll be good for another few years, and it certainly looks first class. Now we've come along into carriage Super Saloon 119. So this one's had a deep clean on the outside and a revarnish. We've not done anything else much to the outside. Internally, the tables, again, like I was saying before with the OBS carriage, there's been a lot of movement across here, so what we were finding was these end beads are coming loose. So we've had the tables out of this carriage and we've removed most of the end beads, and they've been put back on with an epoxy glue now. But that meant that we had to obviously strip all the varnish back, which is not a bad thing because these tables were starting to look bleached. Like I've mentioned before, you can see it here actually. If I put the table close up to here, you see the bleaching on the bead there compared to the table. It's quite a difference. So we've stripped all the tables back, all of them have been stripped back, and they've all been brought back to the nice rich colour we've got here. So it won't be very long before this carriage is due for other work internally, so we'll be looking at that in the next couple of years. Other super saloons we've had 117 in. Again, it had similar treatment, but its tables weren't in as worse wear as these ones were. We've had 120 in. We're hoping to get 108 in as soon as 103 is out the way. We've also had 23, which is the Ashbury, all green Ashbury carriage. That was done by volunteers again on our Have a Go weekends, Learn to Varnish. Very, very grateful to the volunteers that have been in to help with that one and 120 at the last few working parties. Without them, those two carriages, we wouldn't have even looked at bringing them in. So yeah, there's lots going on, lots to finish. Obviously the tables they're only a small job in here, but then we're finished with this one, so plenty more to get done. Right, I'm going to do a bit of a plug now because we're in Carriage 2090, and this is one of the original Winson carriages. In fact, it's the original brake van for the rebuilt Welsh Highland. So this carriage at the moment is the appeal for the Welsh Highland Society. It needs significant money spending on it, so the exterior is still the Winson exterior. We've never done anything with it, and it's still got the metal hoods on the outside. But the exterior now is in quite poor condition. There's rot in various places. Nothing that could be patched easily. It would have to have serious work. We've also got to take the external skin off on the roof as well as the outside to change the insulation in this carriage. The insulation in the Winson carriages wasn't of the highest quality, and it needs to be changed for safety reasons. So we'd like to get that sorted. Internally, obviously the windows on this side, all three of these Beckler windows have had to be sealed shut. There's issues with their fastenings to the spring units underneath, which isn't fixable in situ. You need to take the unit out to do it. And in order to do that, you've got to destroy the whole of the carriage interior because of the way it's been designed. You can't take any of this out. It all comes away in pieces. So that's why the windows are screwed shut, because we just simply can't do it without significant amounts of work. The seats on these are the metal frames type. So this is the last carriage with this style of seat. They constantly have problems with these backs coming apart. We can't actually get into here to fix the seat backs back in place. We have to unbolt the seat from the floor to try and get in there to deal with that. They're very tired. These seats have never been recovered. They're still the original 1997 coverings. I think we may have cascaded from some of the other Winson carriages actually to keep them going. But it is very tired. It needs some significant investment in it to bring it back to the standard of the likes of 2048, 2050 in the workshop and that. So if you could, please consider donating towards the society and help fund the return of this one to good condition.